Your ultimate pit stop, Piston Pundit, is here to break down a seismic shift in global trade that's sending shockwaves through industries far and wide. Picture this. One day, your smartphone, electric car, or even household appliances suddenly become either scarce or outrageously expensive. Sounds like a doomsday scenario, right? Well, buckle up, because this isn't some far-off prediction. It's happening right now. China, the world's manufacturing titan, is tightening its grip on exports to the US, setting off a chain reaction that could reshape global commerce. What does this mean for American consumers, automakers, and tech giants? Let's dive into the 7 biggest ways this trade turmoil is shifting the gears of the economy. Number 7. The rare earths crisis. China's grip on US tech and defense. China controls nearly 90% of the world's refined rare earth minerals, essential for EV batteries, smartphones, and military defense systems. This dominance gives Beijing enormous leverage, and recent export restrictions are tightening the noose on US industries. In December 2023, China banned rare earth magnet technology exports, critical for EV motors and wind turbines. By February 2025, it expanded restrictions on 5 key metals, threatening US tech giants like Apple and Tesla, and delaying military production. Building a domestic rare earth supply could take over a decade and $1 trillion, making a quick fix impossible. Australia's Wyloo Metals is working to provide alternative sources, but shifting away from China's dominance won't happen overnight. Can the US adapt fast enough, or will it remain at China's mercy? Number 6. Semiconductor squeeze, America's Achilles heel. Semiconductors power everything from smartphones to military systems, yet the US produces just 12% of the world's supply, while China dominates over 50% of the global chip market. Despite the $52 billion CHIPS Act, America still lags behind in production. China's recent export bans on gallium and germanium, critical for electronics and auto industries, have rattled supply chains, with Japan and other nations warning of severe disruptions. Bringing chip manufacturing back to the US is a massive undertaking, requiring at least 15 years and unprecedented investment, according to McKinsey & Company. Meanwhile, China is racing ahead, pumping funds into third-generation semiconductors and forging new global partnerships. With chips now as crucial as oil, the real question is, can the US catch up, or will China cement its dominance in the tech race? Number 5. Consumer crisis, soaring prices on everyday goods. Step into any US home and you'll see Made in China on everything from electronics to furniture. With over 70% of US electronics imported from China, trade tensions are already driving up costs. According to the Wall Street Journal, electronics prices have jumped 15% due to tariffs and supply chain issues. If China tightens exports further, the average American family could face up to $22,000 in extra annual costs, warns the Peterson Institute for International Economics. It's not just electronics. Fast fashion giants like Shein and Temu have dominated the market, pushing legacy US brands to the brink. With prices climbing across industries, will consumers absorb the hit, or will demand for economic shifts reshape policy? The answer could transform the retail landscape and US-China relations for years to come. Before we delve deeper, do us a favor and smash that like and subscribe button. This helps us reach more auto enthusiasts just like you. Now let's shift gears and steer towards our next point. Number 4. China's BRICS power play, shifting global trade. As US-China tensions rise, Beijing is forging stronger trade alliances, particularly with BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, and South Africa. In 2023, China's trade with BRICS surged 30%, signaling a strategic pivot away from Western economies. China is also expanding its influence through the Belt and Road Initiative, investing in global infrastructure projects to strengthen its economic reach. Meanwhile, India and Russia are now trading in local currencies, bypassing the US dollar, while ASEAN nations explore regional payment systems to reduce reliance on Western financial structures. With China leading this shift, The US faces a major challenge: how to maintain its grip on global commerce in an era where its economic levers hold less power. Will America adapt, or will China's new alliances permanently alter the balance of global trade? Number 3. The US dollar's decline, a shifting global currency order. The US dollar's global dominance is slipping. In 1999, it held 71% of global reserves, but by 2023, that number had dropped to 58%. If this trend continues, the dollar's share could fall below 50% by 2034. Nations are actively seeking alternatives to reduce reliance on the dollar. The BRICS bloc is working on a new reserve currency, while India and Russia now trade in local currencies, bypassing the US dollar altogether. If the dollar weakens further, the US could face inflation, financial instability, and reduced leverage in global politics. Economist Eswar Prasad warns that a declining dollar weakens economic sanctions, a key US foreign policy tool. With multiple currencies gaining ground, the world is shifting toward a multipolar financial system. Can the US adapt, or is the era of dollar supremacy coming to an end? Number 2. The US-China trade paradox, too big to fail. Despite rising trade tensions, the US and China remain economically intertwined. In early 2025, President Donald Trump imposed a 10% tariff on all Chinese imports, citing fentanyl concerns. China retaliated with tariffs on US goods, escalating the conflict. Yet despite these restrictions, US agricultural exports to China surged 25% in 2023, proving China still relies on American resources. This paradox mirrors the 1980s tariffs on Japan, which ultimately strengthened Japanese industries like Toyota and Honda, making them global powerhouses. If the US continues aggressive trade policies, it could push China towards self-sufficiency, reducing its dependence on American goods and supply chains. Could history repeat itself, with the US unknowingly fueling China's economic rise? Or will both nations recognize that economic cooperation remains essential? Number 1. China's technological leap, AI and quantum supremacy. The US-China tech race is heating up, with China making huge gains in areas once dominated by the US, particularly AI and quantum computing. President Xi Jinping has rallied tech giants like Huawei, Tencent, and Alibaba to drive advancements in AI, 6G, and military tech, especially hypersonic weapons, shifting the global power balance. In response, the US has imposed tariffs and restricted Chinese access to advanced technologies. However, these measures may accelerate China's push for self-sufficiency, pushing China to innovate even faster. According to the Carnegie Endowment, these tactics could backfire, giving China a competitive edge and possibly surpassing the US in critical tech fields. With China leading the charge in these crucial sectors, the question remains, can the US maintain its tech dominance, or will China become the world's next tech superpower? The road ahead. Can the US reclaim its trade dominance? Global trade is at a crossroads, and the choices made today will shape the economic landscape for decades. With China forging new alliances, ramping up tech investments, and shifting the balance of financial power, the US must rethink its strategy. Some solutions? Reshoring manufacturing, boosting domestic supply chains, and ramping up R&D investments, all of which could help America regain its competitive edge. But with China playing the long game, these efforts need to move fast. So what do you think? Is the US still in the driver's seat, or is China taking the lead in the global economy? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned to Piston Pundit for more deep dives into the biggest automotive and trade stories shaping the world today. Thanks for watching and see you next time.